You know what that sound is. That's the sound of summer, and there's no better way to kick off this summer season than with an ice-cold Dewey beer. Dewey Beer recently voted the #1 brew pub in the nation. The nation, #1 brew pub with locations in Delaware and even in Colorado, has some of the coldest, crispest, most delicious beer I have ever tasted. And you're going to be able to get it for free at the Talkin 215 free beer Phillies tailgates. You know we're always advertising them on our social media, but enough about that. Let's talk about Dewey for a little bit. Locally owned and operated, they use only the finest ingredients and go through a painstaking process to make sure that the best product possible is in that can, and you need that can in your hand. Head on over to deweybeerco.com to see where Dewey is sold near you and get yourself some of the delicious El Trono, Swishy Pants, or any of their other incredible beers. Dewey Beer. Let's kick off summer right, folks. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin 215.
What is up, everybody? And welcome back to another edition of the Talkin 215 podcast.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Whatever time of the day you are listening, welcome to this week's edition of Talkin 215.
Boys and girls, we are back. It's been a little bit, but the boys are back in town, the original trio. And no, I'm not talking about the Villanova refs that ref for the Knicks games. I'm talking about the big three, baby. Sean, Jake, and Joey. We're here. We're talking Philly sports. Sean, Jake, what's up, boys?
The Phillies, 8-0.
It's true.
We're talking off air. It's like one of the worst lineups we'd ever seen. But you knew once you saw it and we were talking about it, we're like, so naturally they're just going to smash.
100%. Against the best ERA leader in the AL.
Yeah.
I keep waiting for this team to lose. We send the lineup out. I go, okay, this is the game. This has to be the game, right?
Yeah.
Guy's got like the best ERA in like the majors, or or it might just be the AL. It doesn't matter. He's been playing lights out, and we just
Barrios is
the guy, no matter what.
8th highest odds to win AL Cy Young. And we put 8 earned runs on him in 3 2/3 of an inning.
You know what's cool too, guys? I feel like every year that we watch the Phillies, and I was talking to my buddy about this, the Phillies went on they won 9. Is that going to be a single for? Oh, no. The Phillies won 10 of 11 games last year, right? But when they did that, the Braves won 12 of 13.
Yeah, we didn't.
And
we
there was another stint where we won like 8 of 10, and the Braves won 9 of 10. It's like we can never gain ground when we're hot. And then I saw a stat this year that said the Phillies struck out in a game 18 times, and then 2 days later they struck out in a game 17 times, and they won both of those games. So if that doesn't tell you this is a team that's like built for whatever. You want us to outpitch you? You want us to outhit you? You want us to hit home runs? You want us to play small ball? You want us to steal bases? You want us to – I mean, it's a team that's built to win however you want to play us. We're ready. So – yeah, that's what makes me a little more excited than years past, man.
Coach, it's early.
It is earned.
Like, it's early. If we're sitting here bitching all last season about, everybody, like, the team looks terrible, but every time we try to say it, everybody's like, oh, come on, it's still early.
I know it.
This is the equivalent of, you're only playing the second quarter of the first game of the NFL season. Like, they got so much time left, and it's early. Same kind of thing happens here. Look, the Phils look great. They look incredible. They look like the best team in baseball, but they've played some garbage teams of late. They haven't played a winning team since March, I believe.
That was a wrong. No, whoever tweeted that was wrong.
It was wrong. They haven't played a good team in a while. And so, look, I love the Phillies. I think this is the best team that we've seen, especially out of the gate, in a very long time. But I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit and be like, show it to me through June. Get me through June, build up a 6-7 game lead in the NL East.
You're being the guy that says it's too early. You're telling everybody to pump the brakes. Listen, there's 162 games. I am going to react sporadically to every single one of them. If they do something stupid, I'm going to be pissed off. If they do something great, I'm going to have to give them their flowers. Yep. I'm going to have to live and die. Every single day is going to have to be on its own. I can't just say let's keep pushing it. I'm going to enjoy this because this is some of the best baseball I've seen in how long.
I'm being a heel. You know what I mean? Like I'm playing the bad guy a little bit because this team is incredible. So much fun to watch. Look, everybody knows who's the biggest Bohm guy that you know. I mean, it's me.
There's some guys on Twitter giving you a run for your money, but
No,
I
but for the
get it.
longest stretch of time, like people are jumping on now.
Oh,
Like,
they were
I mean,
in
that tweet is
diapers.
out there,
They
right?
were in
Big Bone guy.
diapers when we were bone guys. All right.
yeah. Oh, I tweet. You got 2021 tweets of me saying "big bone guy," and I've been screaming that for the past 3 years. So anybody joining on now, being like, "Oh, I've been riding bone for," no, I'm probably the biggest bone guy out there, or one of them. And nothing makes me happier than seeing Alec Boehm as the 8th highest MVP odds. Got in on that 2 weeks ago. Got a little plus 8,000 odds on Boehm for MVP, and then got a little plus 4,500 odds for Suarez for Cy Young. Current odds right now for both of them. Suarez is about a plus 1,200 depending on the site you're looking at, and then Boehm, I believe, is down to about a plus 2,000. Got both of those in, well, then they're well over double that. So, I'm looking to cash in a little bit at the end of the season.
Well, if you're a Phillies fan, that's good that the odds are going down. That just means
yeah.
you're thinking that these guys are going to keep up that pace. And I agree with Sean, what Sean said. Like, if they're playing terrible, I'm gonna be pissed and I'm gonna let you know about it. If they're playing great, I'm gonna be happy and I'm gonna let you know about it. That's just what I'm gonna do. So we've kind of built up an immunity on this podcast, right? Because so many people attacked us and saying it's early, it's early, it's early. Oh, well, y'all were the ones that were saying we can't bitch when it's early. So you know what? We're going to be happy now that it's early.
Yeah,
we're going to do what you do. We're going to do what you do. We're going to celebrate. So we're in a win-win situation here. And I think the coolest thing is every year that the Phillies been good, they've started out slowly and we've had to scratch and claw. We're going to be the wild card. The Braves built up a 20-game lead come July. And, it's just really maintaining that wild card pace. Now we're at the top. Granted, it's still early. I know that phrase, and it's only 3.5 games, but it's nice being the top dog, the people that teams hunt now.
And we're still disrespected.
That's
you
true.
See like these power rankings. You see Vegas's World Series.
Power rankings are just talking. They're just the engagement,
Look, we got Dr. Mesa from our friends at Delaware Orthopedic Specialists on. Doc, I hate when I use this analogy a lot, but you've seen a lot of Phillies teams. You've seen a lot more Phillies teams than I have.
Mm-hmm.
Getting off to one of the best starts in the past couple decades. Does this team look different to you from teams you've seen in the past? Even like the 2011 team was, or 2010 was the last team that went off to a start, anything close to this. Obviously, we all know that team, but you've seen a lot of teams back in the 80s and on. Does this team seem different to you?
Yeah, I mean, this is like Coach said, this is a huge starting off strong, and they look strong in all areas. I mean, usually there's a fatal flaw to these teams. And right now, I think they're working off some of the stuff with the bullpen. I mean, the hitting's incredible. I think they're firing on all cylinders, and you don't see that often. I think the teams that were that good that we took for granted, well, didn't take for granted, but in the late 70s, those teams were really strong in all aspects. And I think that this harkens back to those kind of teams that really didn't have a major flaw. And I think that's where we are now, for now.
No, like the crazy part is you're talking about the offense. It's hard not to, but like up until probably this week, these past 3 games, Harper was not a good hitter. He had the two BOGO dog nights. And then the day after paternity leave, those were like his big games. And then it was just like, he was a 200 sub 200 hitter. And so they were doing all this, going on this stretch again, up until these last 3 games without Harper.
Yeah.
Now you get him heating up. Yet Castellanos seems like he's getting at least a hit a game now, which is
heating up to 200, baby.
But I'm saying he's miles ahead of what he was for the first month.
Right.
He's getting a hit a game. You're not thinking, automatic out. You're watching him take some pitches. He's walking a fair amount. He had like 3 walks the other night.
That's huge to me. That's huge.
Massive on base percentage for Castellanos. Yeah,
I mean,
the whole team.
That's one of the most impressive things. I mean, you talk back about.
I mean, Edmundo Sosa has a 3.4 career walk rate, but his hit by pitch rate is higher than his walk rate. Shout out Ben Silver for throwing that nugget out there.
Just every single game, it feels like these guys are taking great at bats. They're working these guys, right? It seems like every single night, the opposing starting pitcher has 80 pitches through like 3 2/3 innings. It feels like it's like these guys are running out of gas and getting to the bullpen by the 5th inning. It seems like in most nights.
Now, Sean, I thought. Go ahead.
Yeah, every single day.
Brought up a great
impressed. Even if you don't get on base, these guys are working these opposing pitchers night after night after night. It's awesome.
No, I thought you brought up a great point on Twitter, Sean, when you're like, look, we give Thompson shit for leaving starters in too long, but we've been getting away with it, and it's been keeping our bullpen fresh. We've been able to go to whoever we need to. And he still makes the wrong decision from time to time. Like, we're still seeing Sir Anthony get thrown out there in high leverage situations. You're seeing Gregory Soto being put out there with one out and a runner on second in a 2-run game. Like, you're still seeing times where you're like, man, we haven't had any of our guys pitch in 2 nights. Like, why are we using these guys here? But we have the opportunity to go to any arm in the bullpen. Everybody's fresh. Everybody's available. But it really harpens back to, and Doc, I want to ask you this again. Have you seen a full 5 starters be this incredibly good for this amount of time in your lifetime?
No,
6.
I mean, obviously the comparisons to the 4
6,
aces.
6 starters.
Yeah, but no, I mean, Ranger's unbelievable. I mean, he's just he's out of this world. And I mean, and he's your third pitcher. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, he's a 1 on most teams.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, no, you never. I mean, his pitching staff is loaded, and you still got 1 or 2 in the minors. You know,
I looked up McGarry and Abel's stats on our live show on Thursday because I was like, oh, I'm excited. Like, look, you get Taiwan pitches okay. You have Turnbull there, and then best case scenario, you bring up McGarry or Abel. Both of them, I believe, are 7+ ERAs right now. It is
Untouchable
awful.
prospects.
And I was so excited about Abel this year. You guys heard me in the preseason. I was like, look, best case scenario, Taiwan pitches good enough to send him away. You bring Abel up. You don't even get a pitcher in return for him. You're getting a bench bat, a big piece to add to that late postseason run or the postseason stretch where you have somebody off the bench to really add some pop. You bring up Abel and he's ready and all. No, Abel sucks. I'm out. I'm done. I'm done. And I was an Abel guy. You're going to talk about me being a bone guy. Much bigger bone guy than an Abel guy. But last year I was like, oh, Abel. Like, he's getting disrespected. Did you see him in the minor league all-star game? He pitched an inning and a third beautifully. No, this guy sucks.
Painter is hurt, obviously, but Abel and McGarry were talked about as untouchable at the trade deadline. Me and Sean always joke about that on Twitter. Like, these guys are untouchable. You cannot trade them. You cannot trade these guys. Are untouchable. And then you'll see McGarry with a 14 ERA in his last 3, and then Abel has walked more than he struck out. And it's like, what are we doing? But aside from those guys, I think the coolest thing with this Phillies team that you haven't seen in a while is the competitive balance. And what I mean by that is, aside from the starters, you can go 6 deep at pitcher, but besides your top 3 dogs, you have Sanchez, Taijuan Walker, and Turnbull, who are pitching their asses off because they all want to be the 4th or 5th starter. They don't want to be the long guy. They don't want to be the bullpen guy. They don't want to be the piggyback guy. So you're getting the best from your back 3 every time they take the mound. There's no room for error. They're not just, oh, it's a random Wednesday in Cincinnati where I'm playing a day game. You know, I'm just going to go out there and play baseball. No, they're pitching like it could be their last time being a starter because they know the guy behind them has a 1.8 ERA. Or whatever.
Coach, what did we say? What did we say in the postseason last year? We were like, look, when Taijuan was subtweeting about Rob Thompson and everything, we're like, you know what? I want my pitcher to want to be in there.
Agree.
Like,
I want that.
We kind of were like, yeah, we probably are a little glad that he wasn't. Like, we weren't so sure, but you're like, but I want that mentality. I don't want him to sit there being like, whatever's best for the team. No, get me the fuck on that mound.
Yeah.
Let me be the guy. I love that mentality.
I want that type of mentality. That's like a receiver, like throw me the damn ball type thing, right? Like, I don't care if I'm covered. And Taijuan looked good the first 6 innings of both starts. He had a blow up in the 7th.
Yep.
Arguably probably shouldn't have been in the 7th of both of those starts, right? But I thought he looked pretty good if you're comparing him to himself, Taijuan Walker. You know, not bad. And then, look, we talked about it in the pre-show. Cody Clemens looks good. Your boy, Whit Merrifield, has the longest hitting streak for the Phillies now that Bone doesn't have one. His average is up to 260. Like, we got guys, him and Sosa. These guys all want to play baseball, so they're all going to be giving you their best at every position.
I was unaware he was my boy.
He's not your boy. That's why I made that joke, because I know you didn't like Whit. But he has an 8-game hitting streak, and he's up to 260 right now, and he's being thrust into the lineup with trade down. So I think when you look at the competitive balance, pitching and hitting, these guys are like, look, I have to give my best every game because there's a guy on the bench that'll take my spot tomorrow.
Yeah, this is
No,
definitely the deepest that it's ever felt like. I mean, Coach just kind of stole my thunder. I was just going to rave about how good Merrifield's been and how good Sosa's been. Maybe not in the field. His brain's gonna do a hard reboot at some point in the middle of the field, but
He's hitting alt
it
F4
doesn't even
sometime.
matter. It doesn't even matter. The games that we give up 6, 7 runs, we put up 8. Like, I don't know what is going on, but this team has it. This
It
team
seems
has
like
it.
the only losses we take, it seems is like we've got a 3-run lead and then we just like blow it late. And
And
those
then
are the
Sir
only
Anthony
we're-
comes in.
Yeah,
That's
we're
it.
never seeing a game in like the second inning where we're like, pack it in. This one's done.
Yeah.
And then
'Cause we're
Coach, you
jumping
were
on
asking
guys.
some Coach, you were asking something before we aired when you were bringing up Cody Clemens. What were you saying about that?
Oh, I feel like every time that we call up Cody Clemens or ask him to start or call him up for the minors, whatever it is, he plays damn well. He plays great. Like, I mean, it just seems like we were having a Cody Clemens discussion about being our starting first baseman last year when Reese went down, weren't we? I think we were all like, Cody's your first baseman. What's there to talk about? This was before we knew Bryce could play first base and whatnot, but that was our guy. And he's been called up for 3 or 4 games and he has 6 RBI and 2 home runs.
Cody Clemens with a 2.1 OPS,
That's
a
insane.
1.6 slugging, a 500 batting and on base percentage.
The Talkin 215 question of the day: is he the best baseball player ever to be named Clemens?
Dude, I wasted my load on the $50 Alec Boehm MVP bet. It's Cody Clemens plus 85 million.
Sorry, Dad. There's a new sheriff in town.
Exactly.
Dude, he's playing too well. Like, I feel like he's going to be like traded at the trade deadline or something for a team that is in need of an everyday player.
Well,
Like,
speaking
I almost feel
speaking of
bad that
guys
he's not
playing
playing.
too well. Speaking of guys playing too well, look, one of our highest touted prospects, still a couple years away, Aiden Miller, first round pick, early draft pick. He's a shortstop. He's a left side of the infield player, shortstop or third base. Obviously, shortstop's locked in for the next 9 years. Alec Boehm is it a contract year? They have his rights. He's a restricted free agent, so they get early. However, it works in baseball, they can sign him before anybody else has the opportunity to.
But this is last year.
Yeah, this is his last year. Obviously, I'm screaming, I'm sounding the horns, I'm blowing the horns for Alec Boehm to be signed up long term. What are you doing with Aiden Miller? Because he's got very minimal.
Make him your
What's up?
DH when Schwarber's gone.
He's not a power guy, but does your DH have to be a power guy?
Not at all.
Just has to be an on-base guy, in my opinion.
Just has to be a guy that can hit. I feel like in today's day and age, right?
Can he play right field? I mean, we got one more year at Casty, right? I mean, this is
2 more, right?
2 more. He signed a 4-year deal. This is
he was signed to a 4-year. Okay, he's got 1 more year then.
I think this is Schwarber's last.
This is Schwarber's last year. They signed this at the same time.
Can we franchise tag him?
Schwarber only got a 3-year.
I think.
I'll look it up.
I think it was 3 for 60. Like he made like 20 a year, maybe.
It was 3 for 60 and 4 for 80. They both got 20 mil a year.
Schwarber signed a 4 for 80. He's got
4 for 80.
Right.
4 for 80.
Oh.
So was Casty 3?
Yeah, I thought they were the exact same contract. Like I thought it was.
They're both 20
no. Castellanos had Castellanos had a 5-year.
A 5-year. Where the
Castellanos
hell was I?
5-year 100.
5-year 100.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Technically, Schwarber signed a 79 million. So Castellanos is making more APY.
Well, Jake, this is a really good problem to have.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, where's Aiden Miller going to play?
Justin Crawford is our outfield prospect. I think he's our top non-pitching prospect, right? Or is Miller ahead of him?
I think it's Aiden Miller. I think Justin Crawford's up there, but I mean,
Crawford's got another year. We got to think realistically till he gets called up, though, right?
yeah, I don't think.
I mean, Aiden Miller's got another 2 years.
I think
Aiden Miller is our third prospect. Justin Crawford's our fourth.
Yeah.
Both of them are expected not to be up until the soonest is 2026. That's Justin Crawford, and the estimation for Aiden Miller is 2027. I mean, they're 19 and 20.
You cross that bridge when you come to it. Yeah, you don't.
Right. Yeah, who knows?
Who's Starlin Caba?
3 years.
Starlin Caba is our 5th highest prospect. Never even heard of that guy. Sorry, Starlin. At Delaware Orthopedic Specialists, you're never left in the dark. Not only are they the only fellowship-trained surgery center here in the state of Delaware, all of their providers are also specialists. which means that they're focusing on each and every part of the body specifically, so that when you come in with knee pain, you're getting a doctor specifically devoted to that. Wrist pain, wrist doctor, foot pain, foot doctor, so on and so forth. Why would you go anywhere where you're just going to get a general doctor that knows overall body when you can get somebody that knows the ins and outs of your exact injury? They're going to hold your hand and walk you through each and every step of the process so that you won't have any questions and you'll know exactly what you should be expecting. My family and friends trust EOS, and you should too. Give them a call at 302-655-9494 or head on over to delortho.com. Let them know that Talkin 215 sent you. And after they give you phenomenal care, head on over to Google, give them a great review.
These are good problems to have, man. And we're not even talking about Andrew Painter, who was the #1 pitching prospect in all baseball, you know? So these are good problems to have. Like Sean said, this is one of the deepest Phillies teams that we've seen. Different, it's the whole team. Different guys are stepping up at different times, man. I never thought I'd see a Johan Rojas two-run home run in the 9th inning, to win a game. So
That's his first legit home run, right?
legit, yeah.
Yeah, he had the one off the position player. All right, well, we're getting to everybody's favorite segment of the episode. We are joined by Dr. Mesa from our friends at Delaware Orthopedic Specialist, going to be breaking down some of the injuries. Everybody that's listened to him in the past knows that he's got the insight and the knowledge that is just untouched by anybody else in the sports injury world. Doc, right off the bat, big one that on the team we're talking about, Trey Turner, hamstring issue. We've talked a lot about hamstring in football, but I want to ask, is there really anything different that you see when it comes to different sports with a hamstring injury? And then also, he came out after that game saying, oh, it's going to be a day or two. And then the very next day, it went from 48 hours to over 48 days for the expectation of return to play. What can you tell us about those?
Yeah, I think his reaction is probably typical. A lot of times when you're in a game setting, you have a little bit of adrenaline and you feel like, yeah, I'll feel better tomorrow. The real tell is 24 hours later to see how the extent of it is. And, I think right off the bat, anytime you tweak a hamstring, unless it's very, very minor, you're looking at an extended period of time out of playing. It's a tough injury because it's a big muscle. It does a lot, regardless of sport. I think it's more effective in players that rely on burst, jumping, running. But any sport, it's going to get you down. It's going to hamper you. And I think the best treatment is to, as painful as it is, rest till you're almost 100%. Because if you go in at 80%, whatever, it's going to flare up and it's going to be a nagging injury. I mean, you see it a lot in baseball that these guys have these injuries that linger through the whole season because they feel better, they play, they flare it up again. You really have to say, maybe 48 days is the right answer. You're looking at 6 weeks of rest and rehab. And I think as long as you're not straining that muscle, you allow it a chance to heal. Every time you try to burst, you could potentially re-injure it. And I think that the key is to have a little patience. And, the luxury the Phillies have is they're in a good position right now to afford to have him rest now. And I think resting now will pay dividends in the later part of the season as he's fully recovered.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a guy that really relies on that burst as the speedster on the team, leader in stolen bases. Guy just flies around the field. You saw him turn a pass ball. He scored from second on a pass ball. You just don't see that from normal players. So my next part of that is if he does give it the time to fully heal and all, is it then fully healed? Like if it was to pop back up, it wouldn't necessarily be a flare up. It'd be a new injury. Or is this something that until you give it a long recovery period that it's just going to be there kind of lingering?
Well, I think if you wait long enough, I think if you may tweak it just because you're getting back into the speed of the game. But I think if you allow time for it to recover, it's a muscle. It usually heals and there's no scar tissue in the muscle. It usually heals where it's supposed to. And if that's the case, you may get, a tweak here and there. But I think another injury would be, if he's recovered, would be another new injury to the hamstring. So I think if they wait long enough, and I think these trainers are so well trained to what is, and the doctors too, when it's ready and when it's not. And I think they will wait till it's absolutely ready and not take any chances. Because to be honest, right now, you really don't need to. And I think it's better to wait, and I think that if they wait, it may take him a little time to get back up to game speed, but I don't think it means the first time he's out there, he's going to re-injure it.
Yeah. Doc, I have a question for you. The NFL draft was a couple weeks ago, and there was a linebacker prospect that I really liked, but he was dropping into the draft due to medicals. And I saw a tweet out there that I don't know if this is even a thing or even true, but Peyton Wilson was a linebacker for NC State, had a ton of surgeries. And I saw somebody tweet that said he doesn't have an ACL in one of his knees or one of his legs. Is that a real thing?
Yeah, it could be. I would not draft that gentleman if that's the case. I mean, bottom line is you can have somebody without an ACL or an ACL deficient knee. But the problem is you're basically getting somebody that's compromised to begin with. It's like, and I personally, I mean, these guys, when they go through the combine, part of the combine that you don't see is the medical evaluation. They get prodded and probed and scanned, and everything gets looked at with a fine tooth comb, because you're paying a lot of money and investing a lot of capital in these athletes. And I think if it truly was an ACL deficient knee, I think it would get a little bit more press than that. It's kind of like the guy with one arm that goes to play. It's kind of unprecedented at that level that somebody would even take the chance at drafting a guy with an ACL deficient knee. He may have some injury to the knee or a partial tear, like Kiko Alonso did back in the day. But if it's ACL deficient, I find that hard to believe. In today's day and age, with our ability to reconstruct that knee, even multiple times, that someone would continue to play or want to play at the next level without a ligament.
So it's possible to not have.
Oh yeah, it's possible. It's possible. I mean, you'd have to brace the leg, I think, for the rest of his career, and you have to cringe every time he twists his knee, because the problem with an ACL deficient knee is, number one, it will buckle and give out. And that's a problem because you can't trust it. And the second part of it is, every time it does buckle, you inevitably create more damage in that knee. So it's basically like putting the arthritis thing on fast forward and going, and you basically don't have a good leg to stand on. No pun intended.
Pun intended.
But it's funny that a lot of these athletes, you think, oh, look at them. And then you actually look at their studies and you're like, man, that knee is shot, or that shoulder is shot, and they can still play. I mean, I think there is that heart factor in that ability, but it eventually is going to catch up to you. And I think it'd be hard for me to believe. It wouldn't be unheard of, but it would be very hard for me to believe that he's playing in the NFL with an ACL deficient leg.
We'll look this up and we'll post it, but I'm almost positive that I saw it.
No, I saw it too. I saw it too.
You
and
saw it
someone
too?
said, actually, in the draft thing, he went down because he had an ACL deficient knee. But it's funny because sometimes these announcers and stuff latch on to things and they don't really understand what they're saying, and they kind of say things that aren't exactly accurate,
According to Yahoo Sports, Peyton Wilson is missing an ACL in one of his knees.
Well, someone should find it. Because, I mean, here's the thing.
Where did they put it?
Here's the thing. I mean, technically you could play because you could brace this leg. You could be stable. But to me, if I'm investing that, even just that pick, taking a pick and sending it, you're really putting yourself behind the eight ball with a guy that does not have a functioning ACL.
He did not have the ACL on the year in 23, where he had 138 tackles, 6 sacks, and won the Chuck Bednarik Award as well as the Butt Kiss Award. So, I mean, he did all that with the ACL deficient knee.
Well, more power to him. I mean, I wish him the best, but
Yeah, I mean, obviously NFL is a completely different dog.
Yeah, and the thing is, you really have to, if you're going to do that, your muscles, your quads, your hamstrings better be in tip-top shape, and you're just setting yourself up. It's just one of those things where you're not going in at 100%, no matter how well you rehab an ACL deficient knee.
Yeah. Doc, if someone does play and gets injured in that leg without an ACL, what would be the first thing to go? What would be the injury?
Well, typically, it could be one of two things. One, it could be another ligament, right? So I tell people, if you look at the knee is like a chair with four feet, right? 4 legs. You're playing with 3 legs. So you lean one way, your knee's gonna go, right? If your knee goes in one direction, the other one's gonna pop. So you pop another ligament. Or the other thing is, if it slides, you can get a cartilage injury. And that's more concerning to me because we're not so great at fixing cartilage. We're not. Look at Odom, the number 1 pick in front of Kevin Durant. His problem, he had a cartilage injury in his knee. Never played. He was a stud at Ohio State. Never played because he had a little cartilage lesion that we weren't that great at fixing. And that's why he went the way he went. And Durant, he went his way. So those are the 2 things you worry about. Another ligament or some cartilage damage, and neither of them are good.
Interesting. The more you know. You
Yeah.
hear it here first. I'm talking 215,
That's right.
guys.
I don't even have a question. I just love that term ACL deficient. Like you've got
Yeah.
an ACL deficiency. You go to the doctor, you go home, you just make sure you take your ACL pills in the morning,
Yeah.
man. You
Yeah,
got to
you're
catch
just
up.
like, hey, you know what? You need to eat some more potassium.
I'm
Have
glad
a
it's not
banana,
that
drink
simple.
your milk.
ACL.
I'm
Are you
glad
getting
it's not.
any dietary ACL? Are you taking it all supplemental here, buddy? You need the natural whole sources of ACL, okay? Get some in you, buddy. You're ACL deficient.
We're glad
You're
that
taking an
does not
ACL
exist.
suppository.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of unheard of. I mean, the one thing, I mean, just to put it in another sport, Tiger Woods tore his ACL in one of the tournaments, and he played the rest of the round with an ACL deficient knee. And people were like, "Oh my God, he played around with an ACL deficient knee." Playing a whole season of D1 college football without an ACL is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, Tiger was on steroids anyway, so.
Well, whatever. I mean, but yeah,
So
but
is
it was
he.
such a miracle that he did it. This kid
So
played a whole
played
season
with
without it. So, I mean, I'd be impressed. I'd love to see that kid's MRI.
I'll work on it. All right.
Yeah,
Pull,
can you get that for me?
Yeah, I'll pull some strings. See
Yeah,
what
all
I
right.
can do for you. Last one I got, switching over to the hard court. Big name that we've seen
No.
thrown around that the Sixers are apparently going to be aggressively pursuing if his current team decides to let him go. Paul George, 34 years old, doesn't have any kind of crazy injury history, but what kind of risk are you taking on a 4 or 5 year deal on a guy that's 34 playing a sport that you just don't see people? You see, I mean, Vince Carter, you see these guys, LeBron, obviously, like playing late, but you see a lot of guys hanging it up early. You see a lot of these taller athletes not be able to go all that far. And look, anybody over 6 foot is pretty damn tall to me. But what kind of risk are you taking? Signing a guy to a max length, max contract at 34 years old in basketball.
Well, it's the same with most sports. It's cumulative trauma, right? It's day after day, pounding and pounding the knee. That's why these contracts are risky. You sign a pitcher, and then all of a sudden they fall off the planet. Running backs, you say, oh, I'm not saying Saquon, but other running backs, you saw how fast Brian Westbrook went from stud to dud, and this can happen with Paul George. And Paul George, I think Paul George had
Horrific.
a tibia fracture, right? He had his tibia rotted, which fortunately is not the joint, but anytime you injure around the joint, you cause problems. I think a 5-year deal for him would be very risky. I think you get good production maybe in the first year or two, but you wind up regretting it on the back end. But he'll score more than 0 points in a clinching game. I'll tell you that right now.
I mean, it's impossible, but a 2-year, $60 million deal, I'm all about. Anything past that, I'm not a fan of.
Yeah,
and I guess that kind of opens up to the floor. What kind of faith do we have in Daryl Morey heading into this free agency period with the most money in the NBA? He already announced that the player definitely not leaving is Paul Reed. That's the first player I would get off this team.
Well, he's under contract. That's why he said that. He's still got
There's a void. There's a void in his contract.
Yeah,
if
you
we
can get
didn't
out
make
of
it out of the first round.
Yeah, the second. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That we could void it. And it's funny because Paul Reed helped that void happen.
Yeah.
Well,
I think the biggest, to me, the most glaring need we saw in the playoffs was a backup center that was competent.
Yeah.
And he was not there. And I think that's the reason. Embiid felt compelled to play the whole game, and he just wasn't. I think, I'm the first one to go off on Embiid, but I'll tell you, this series proved to me that he's a bit of a warrior. Half his face was frozen with Bell's palsy. He got re-injured in that knee that was operated on, and he played through. And yes, he wasn't 100%, but I saw a lot of heart in him. I saw a lot of heart in him. Yeah.
And look, he's
I don't know about king.
fully paralyzed. I had a fully paralyzed face, and all I heard was, "Wow, you look terrible." And nobody was calling me a hero. Nobody was calling me a warrior.
Let me ask you this: you had the Bell's palsy affecting the eye. How did it affect your depth perception?
No, I put a tweet out that actually got a lot of attention.
That's
when when he was playing. I was like, "This is incredible." Like I had a form of Bell's palsy. I had Ramsey Hunt. Bell's palsy, Doc, it's a blanket term. Any facial paralysis is technically Bell's palsy. So it's like the actual root cause of it, we don't know. For all we know, he could have Lyme's disease, and that could be the cause of it. But Bell's palsy is just the actual paralysis. So I had Ramsey Hunt. I had 100% left-sided facial paralysis. And I got it, of course, 2 weeks before I was playing in a big golf tournament. And I finished dead last. And I'm a pretty damn good golfer.
Blaming it on the Bell's palsy.
Of course, it was the Bell's palsy.
No, my depth perception was so bad. And then even on top of that, like I'm playing outside, it's hot, so I'm sweating, but it's nothing like playing in an indoor court. And you see these guys after 5 minutes, they're dripping in sweat. When I had any kind of sweat, you can't blink with that eye, not well at least. And so you're constantly rubbing it. It's getting irritated. It's blurry because it's wet all the time. You're putting drops in it constantly. And he's out there putting up 40 plus points, dominating, he had 3 straight threes to start the third quarter in game 6 or something like that, or game 5. It was incredible. And he's doing all this with awful depth perception. I guarantee that eye is bugging the shit out of him. He can't blink properly. Yeah. It's incredible.
I think that's why people are saying, well, why do you have so many bad passes? Well, it's because he wasn't adjusted to that, and he was throwing where he thought he should be throwing. I mean, I think the shooting is more muscle memory. You know where you are, but passing is kind of variable. And I think, people are like, how did he give 7 bad passes in a game? And I think that's the reason.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, what he was able to accomplish. What's up?
If Bell's palsy can mess up your vision and depth perception, do we think any of the referees were suffering from that?
Yeah, they have a mental deficiency.
During that series, which is apparently carried over into the Indiana game.
Yeah. I mean, this is the most blatant form of rigged sports that I've seen in my lifetime. The NBA wants a Celtics-Knicks Eastern Conference Finals so bad. Yeah. And they said, we are going to make sure that happens.
They're going to get
it. It is insane. Too. Blind eye to Jalen Brunson just flopping everywhere. When they have their small ball lineup out there, they've just got 3 floppers. That's it. And they play, and they're constantly committing fouls that never get called. Constantly.
Well, what I want to know is the NBA is interesting, right? They put out that L2M report that basically says, hey, here's where we messed up in the last 2 minutes of the game. This should have been a foul. We missed this. We didn't call that. We were wrong here. That's cool and all, but what is the repercussions of it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I just can't imagine like being at your job and then being like, hey, did you submit those timesheets on time? I didn't. Oh, well, at least you're honest.
Yeah.
Okay. See you tomorrow. Look, there's got to be some type of recourse for being wrong a lot. And I don't get why there isn't with officiating.
Yeah, I mean, the only sport that you really see it consistently is probably football and baseball, where like obviously baseball, like it's terrible. These umps have been atrocious, but they at least say, hey, you're less likely to get a postseason game when we grade you. And so you have that, you know what I mean? You at least, and then in football, hey, you're less likely to officiate or be the referee in a postseason game, if you've been deemed to be one of the subpar officials in the regular season. But it's not like that's it. They're never facing any kind of punishment for these awful calls. And you still see, obviously, in every sports postseason, it's still terrible. I mean, it's still atrocious. You see games completely decided by all this. But NBA, it just seems like it's, you could do whatever you want.
Yeah, there needs to be, I know hockey has embellishment, but between soccer and basketball, there needs to be.
Soccer's finally started. It's still not enough, but they finally started like not letting guys get away with just the acting like they had their leg blown off.
And didn't they call it the Trae Young rule, like where the NBA was not going to allow this anymore, or they were going to look and see if you're initiating contact? Because there's times where Brunson goes past the defender and then jumps backwards into the defender, and it's not a natural movement, and yet it's still. I guess I don't know. I don't know what has to be done, but the rules supposedly were changed by the committee, and yet they're not being enforced. So I don't understand.
Well, no, they're not being enforced against the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Maxey. He got mugged every time he went down.
Maxey could have gotten shot on the floor, and they would have called a foul on him for bleeding.
Yeah,
he's too nice. He's way too nice. He's got to start getting in people's faces. He's got to start. I don't know how many more followers he needs on Instagram, but between those two,
he's not like slamming his head back and flailing when he drives.
He immediately hops back up. He immediately runs back down the floor, and they're like, "Oh, must have not been a foul."
It's terrible, man. It's terrible. The state of officiating.
Yeah. Atrocious.
Well, if you think about it, when the Sixers played the Clippers, they had that call in the last 2 minutes that said that Oubre was fouled. That would have led to a win that would have had the Sixers swapping spots with the Magic, and we would have played Cleveland in the first round. So you can't tell me that these calls don't matter, even in the regular season.
Oh yeah,
because that one win would have flipped them, and they would have played the Cavaliers and probably beat them in 5, and still be playing.
That's when Oubre went nuts, I think, on the officials, right?
You're a bitch. You're a bitch. You're a bitch.
And he was right, and the ref said he was right. The ref said he was right.
I am a bitch.
He said, I am.
Oh, it is frustrating. It is frustrating.
Oh, man. No, it's incredibly frustrating, but that's Philadelphia sports for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. Yeah, so look, we talked draft last week. Obviously, we're all excited. You can't grade a draft for at least 2 years, so who knows? It looks incredible. We're gonna find out. Cody Clemens with another RBI, by the way. Guys,
Sosa with a triple.
There you go.
We just talked about these guys stepping up and the depth of the competition, man. Like, it's crazy. Everybody's stepping up.
Nuts.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you guys a question. I've been seeing this trend around social media a little bit, so I'm gonna ask you guys a question. It's kind of my own little tweak on it. If you can add one fictional character to the Phillies right now, who would it be? Any fictional character. And what would they play? Like, what would their role be? You can add any fictional character. It can be, a baseball player in a movie. It can be a superhero. Like, obviously, you could be like, oh, Superman. Like, then, but that's kind of a cheat answer.
Can I throw Pablo Sanchez out there?
There he is, the secret weapon.
Come on. Just put him in center. I love Rojas.
I got an emulator on my computer. I've been playing a lot of backyard baseball. I got an emulator on my Mac. I've been playing a lot of 1997 backyard baseball at work.
Okay.
Keisha Phillips, Pete Wheeler, Pablo Sanchez. Doing
the Wheeler and Wheeler duo, the Wheeler bros.
Oh,
come on.
That's such a great question.
Doc, you got
I would go. If I'm adding to the bullpen, I'd probably go Wild Thing, Ricky Vaughn, just to throw him in there. But really, I might
Henry Rowan Gardner.
No, not Rowan Gardner. I would actually. He'd be an untouchable prospect of ours.
Rowan Gardner. They did the math. He throws at 136 miles an hour,
which is good. I go Willie Mays Hayes.
Willie Mays Hayes.
Willie Mays Hayes. I put him in center over Rojas. And Willie Mays Hayes would be my center fielder.
Love it.
Can I get one of the Angels from Angels in the Outfield? That's my pick. That's my pick.
Geez.
Wow, calling Angels fictional. That's a hot take here on Talking 215.
There you go.
Was that's an interesting question. I wonder what some of the answers were, what some of the more popular
No,
ones
we're next tailgate, that's gonna be our question that we're asking everybody that stops by and gets a delicious ice cold Dewey beer.
Yeah, little Benny the Jet Rodriguez wearing some fucking PF.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Right there.
Come on, I need that. I need that for the vibes, baby. I need him just lacing up some PF Flyers, just right on third. And the whole crowd knows he's about to take home. It's just a matter of when.
Doc, you got a fictional character you'd add to this Phillies team?
See, my impulse would be old school to get Roy, what's his name, the Natural out there.
The Natural.
I forget his name. Yeah, I forget his name, but I would go with him. Just a good story. We need a good story, and we need another bat.
Yeah,
I can't believe we didn't say Kenny fucking Powers. Come on,
come on, man! I was next. You kidding me? You kidding? Well, it can't go Kenny Powers now. I mean, that was the obvious guy out of the bullpen.
Former Atlanta Brave.
I have a follow up with that, and kind of goes hand in hand with Kenny Powers. No, if I'm not going Kenny Powers, it's tough. It's real tough. I mean, the next one, because I was thinking bullpen, so the next one was Wild Thing. You kind of said that there. Why am I blanking on his name? We did the celebration because of him. What's his name from Major League?
Jabu?
Not Jabu. Jabu was his.
Jobu? No, he was that. Yeah,
Jobu was the guy he worshipped, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jobu. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Pedro. It was Pedro. I think it was Pedro.
I'm looking it up.
It's been 30 years since I've watched this movie, fellas. Sorry, I cannot help.
Pedro Serrano. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, give me Pedro Serrano. Just any DH. Like, Schwarber's gone after next year. Give me Pedro Serrano coming up there as the DH. Guys, just immaculate vibes and nothing but power. And in the clutch.
Can't hit a curve. You can't hit a curve though.
Okay, we see that in right field.
I know that's true.
Come on now.
That's a good
So
question.
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and then the follow-up with that with the Kenny Powers is how badly do you guys want either Jose or one of our, stud relievers to have one of the walkout music? Like you see it around the league where it's just this sweet reliever walkout. Like I hate the Mets, but Edwin Diaz has the cool trumpet walkout. What's his name from the Twins has a really cool
Santana.
walkout. Yeah, Santana's got a good one. You had the last time the Phillies had anything like it, and it's embarrassing, was Craig Kimbrell. They had a walkout for Craig Kimbrell, and he stunk.
Yeah.
Don't we
Like
have
he
one
didn't
for
until
Alvarado?
2/3 of the year.
We
Like,
know
he was-
the fans had one for Alvarado where everybody shouted Jose, Jose, Jose.
But isn't
Jose.
there? I feel like there's a light show right now. Isn't there? Am I crazy? Is there something with him?
There might be, but it's nothing like the real deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I want one that's all over.
We're definitely
SportsCenter.
missing out, right?
All over
Especially with the
social media.
Spanish-speaking closer. I mean, there's so much opportunity out. Last year we had what? Kimbrell went out to Welcome to the Jungle, like
Yeah.
super cliche. Like
You're just
the
like,
song's
this
as
is
old
so
as he
stupid.
was. Yeah, it was just there was nothing to it. It was lazy. And we gave it to
felt
him
like-
100 games through the season. It was just because they thought it would be kind of cool. Like we got to give it to
Yeah.
a guy with some pizzazz. We got to give the fat boy something to come out to, you know?
Yeah. Give me look, it's again, this is cliche. Give me Gasolina. Have him walking out to Gasolina. Why not? No, but
I
like
don't know enough
Kimbrell's walking
Spanish
out there. I
songs to
feel like
recommend anything, but
I feel like I'm 50 when Kimbrell's running out there. I'm yelling like, cut your hair. Like I just hated everything about it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think this town needs some heavy metal, man. I think
Yeah.
we need somebody coming out just like the most darkest, grungiest screaming. I want somebody to come out to like Slayer and just get the whole crowd mosh pitting. I think the city needs it. I think we got enough people in the stands. We
And
can
then who's
we
who's
can just
coming out to that?
start a
Jeff
ri-
Hoffman?
Yeah, I hope Hoffman likes heavy metal. I do.
Hoffman's got to come out to what's the Batman something in the way from Nirvana. That was just
Something
God.
in the way.
Hoffman's got to come out to that. He doesn't care about anybody. He just goes out there, throws
Now that
strikes.
would be sick. That
7
would be
minutes
pretty
to
great.
walk out there because he's walking half the speed of smell to match the song.
The
Oh
whole
my God.
place goes dark, and you just see the bat signal, and here comes Hoffman to that something.
Yeah, the
in
bat signal that just follows him all the way to the mound. Oh my, done.
We might be on to something right now. We might
Done.
be on to something.
Dan, clip it. Oh, that's
You guys
incredible.
are being serious? That's terrible.
Are
That's
you
the
kidding
worst
me?
idea ever. I thought you were being
That's incredible.
sarcastic.
That's incredible.
worst song
Something
ever.
Let me tell you.
in the way.
When I was a resident,
No, come on. I need energy.
Let Doc finish.
when I was a resident, I was in New York, and I had to listen to Mariano Rivera come out to Enter Sandman. And I was not a Yankees fan, obviously, but seeing that was just next level. I mean, it was like game over. It was literally game over, but you knew, I mean, the lead up to that was just as powerful as him pitching, and it was awesome. And then seeing John Rocker run out there with his, I mean, I think some of that's been lost through the years, and yeah, it would be awesome, but you got to match the right person with the right song. That's the key.
What was the Phillies reliever that would always sprint out, and JT was like, it's like a classic gift.
He's a fat left-handed reliever, and
he was
he literally walked like two guys because he was out of breath.
Yeah, hands on the knees.
You knew he was a lefty. Only lefties do weird shit like that.
Sean, I can't believe you're not up for that. Like, I can't believe you're against that. That just sounds so cool, and you're just like,
love the
get off
bat
my lawn.
symbol, but like you gotta that song would take you would have to
too
walk so slow to match the beat. No, the Batman was a great
He's
movie.
not walking. He's flying down. What are you talking
He's
about?
gliding on his bat wings.
If he was on a glider, then hell yeah. But again, that song doesn't go with anything other than like opiate overdoses. Like I don't.
Or Batman.
As
Gotham
a paramedic,
Dragon.
I can confirm.
I don't know. I need energy. I need I need Slayer screaming at the top of his lungs while somebody sprints out full speed and the whole crowd is just like throwing their ice cream cups and like headbutting each other. I don't know.
You're not with like Disturbed's Sound of Silence.
No, no, I'm not down with Disturbed Sound of Silence. I'm not down with whoever they covered with it. No, no Sound of Silence, please.
Well, so Sean, let me ask you, since
About
you seem to
Creed.
be opinionated on this,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on? I think I already know the answer to this. Stott's A-OK. What are your
That's
thoughts on it?
fantastic. You can sing along to it. Everybody gets involved. It honestly, I didn't love it at first, but like it grew on you, and now it is what it is. So I understand, but it's like there's a lot of hip hop, there's a lot of Spanish, right? And there's no balance. I need some heavy metal. I need somebody ripping, dude.
But
I need
what if
especially
Stott
a closer.
what if Stott absolutely sucked and was batting like
Then I would
102?
hate the song.
Okay, then you would hate the song.
Mhm.
I would hate the song. Everything is not AOA-OK, damn it. Like,
Right.
no.
Change that shit. I get it. No, I get it. I get it.
So look, Phillies best team in baseball. Sixers, who knows? There's really no words for them. Eagles, exciting.
So
Exciting
okay,
time.
real quick on Sixers. My biggest takeaway heading into this offseason is how come Daryl Morey has so much job security?
Yeah, I have no clue.
Like where everybody's asking, what is he going to do with all this cap space? Why aren't we asking why is he keeping his job? Is he going to be in his position
extended him.
into the foreseeable future? What has
Pretty
he
sure they
done to
extended
further
him
this
this year.
franchise?
He
This is
got
a
rid of
first
Ben
round
Simmons.
exit, and everybody seems okay with it. Like we should be up in arms and furious. This franchise is
Get him out of
gone.
here.
You get him out of here.
I'm going to be completely honest with you to stay on this subject. I don't know, and this isn't satire. This isn't like for the pod. I don't know what the Sixers could do this offseason to get me excited. I'm being 100% honest with you.
You're not on the Lauri Markkanen trade.
That might be the only thing, because you have all these picks, right? And it's like timeouts in football. You can't take them with you to halftime. You can't take them with you, when the game's over. If you got them, use them in your prime. Use them during the game. Embiid's prime, I don't know how much longer we're going to get at this. I don't know what this is going to happen. So use the picks. I'm not worried about a 2029 pick for a kid that's in 6th grade right now by the time we pick that. I'm not worried about that, him helping us win a championship. So trade the picks for a proven star. Lauri might be the only thing to do it for me, but other than that, man, there's nothing that's going to make me like, okay, yeah, here it is. We're ready.
You know what, LeBron? I do not.
No,
I do not.
absolutely not.
No comment.
Coach is thinking about it.
I want 5 years ago, LeBron. Is he available?
No.
Bronny.
Huh.
Is Bronny even the best player on his team?
No.
Bronny.
All right. Final thoughts, everybody. Sean.
I'm happy to see you guys.
Yeah, you as well. Well, Doc, final thoughts?
I just hope it's not New York, Boston, but I know it's going to be for two sports.
Yeah. Coach?
My final thought is Sean is wrong. That Batman entrance is badass.
I was going to say.
I need another final thought. I am right. That is terrible. I love the effort, but it's in the wrong place.
My
Final thought.
Something in the way.